So now we're going to be going over for loops and while loops. In the past few videos, I showed you guys what for loops look like in Java, but didn't really go over the syntax. So now I will be doing that. So first we have this keyword for, and we have this parentheses, and we have this curly braces. Inside the curly braces is the lines of code in which we want to execute some number of times according to our for loop. And inside this parentheses is going to define how long are we going to be looping for. So we have three different coding statements right here, separated by these two semicolons. So for the first statement is saying, when do we want to start looping? The second is saying, okay, how long do we want to continue for? And the third one is saying, okay, what do we want to increment by? So in Python, it's for I in range. So we are going to be defining our I in our first statement. So we don't have to use the variable I. You can use j or k or any other variable name that you want, but for convention's sake, I'll just use I in this case. So first we have to declare our I. In this case, I'll declare it to be an integer. You don't have to do an integer, but that's just a convention. And then I'm just going to say, okay, I just want to set it equal to 0, to start at 0. And then in the second statement, it's like, okay, so how long do we want to continue looping for? Well, I want to continue looping until we get to n. So let's say n was equal to 12. I want you to start looping at 0, and I want you to continue looping until we get to 12. And it's denoted by this less than or equal sign. So this means loop from 0 and all the way up to and including 12. And I++ means I equals I plus 1, so we are incrementing by 1. And let's look at this example in our code demo, but I won't be executing this code. I'm just going to do something a little simpler. So I'm just going to be doing everything in my conditionals class file as we've seen in our previous video on the if statement, just because I'm lazy. So first what we do inside our main function is we have to write our keyword for. Then we would have our parentheses where we're going to define our loop, but I know that I just want to print out hello world. And let's just say that I want to be printing hello world 6 times. So in this case, what I'm going to do is int I is equal to 0, and I is equal to less than or equal to 6, I++. So what I did is I declared my integer I variable. I'm going to start at 0. Whoops, I actually want it to be 5. And then I'm going to say I want you to continue looping until you get to 5 and increment by 1. And so I said I want to be printing out 6 times. So if you count your fingers, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you should be having 6 fingers down. So 0 to 5 is going to be printing hello world 6 times. So let's also print out what I is doing. Okay, and now let's compile this code. Perfect. So we see here, this is what the I looks like, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I wanted to print out hello world 6 times. So if we count it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Perfect. So it's printing 6 different times. Because I really didn't care what I's value was, because all I cared about is just printing hello world 6 times, I actually didn't have to do it so that I is equal to 0 and I is less than or equal to 5. I could have also said I is equal to 1 and go all the way up to 6. And if I were to compile and run this code, it will print 6 times as well. And I could have also done it where, let's see, I don't have to use the less than or equal sign. I usually don't use that. I just say less than, and I do 0 to 6. So if we count with our fingers, it's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So yeah, that's 6 fingers down. I couldn't count for a second. Oh my gosh. So you have 6 fingers down. So that should also print hello world 6 times. So let's also run this code. I almost counted up to 7. That's why. So this also prints out 6 times. And I also want to show you how to actually decrement. You don't have to start so that I is equal to a smaller number and going all the way up to a bigger number. You can do it the other way where I starts with a bigger number and then ends with a smaller number. So let me just comment this out for now, and then do a separate for loop. So it's literally the same thing. So you have the keyword for and you have the curly braces. I still want to be printing hello world 6 times. But what's going to change is this parentheses right here. And I can reuse my variable I because I is a local variable to this for loop. So this I is actually, if I were not to print this out, or if I did not comment this out, yeah, I can actually have both for loops here because this I is different from this I right here. But because I don't want to confuse you guys, I'm just going to comment this one out. So in this case, I have to initialize this value to be something big. So in this case, because I just want to be printing 6 times, it's going to say I is equal to 6. Now, instead of saying that I is less than or equal to 6 or something like that, what I do is I use the greater than sign instead. So I'm starting at 6, and I want you to continue to loop until I is greater than or equal to 1. And instead of incrementing, I want to be decrementing by 1. So the syntax for that is I minus minus, or dash dash. So in this case, we are decrementing from 6 to 1, and I'll show you what the I looks like here. So let me compile this code. Yep, so now you see that we're actually printing this 6 times, if I'm counting correctly, and I is going from 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So this is how you would decrement in your for loop. So I have a couple of exercises that you guys can work on, but all of my solutions will be on the GitHub repository, so just check those guys out. Oh, and also, I forgot about for each loops. So this is how you would do a for each loop in Python. You have a list, hi, my name is Faith. And then this is how you would do a for each loop in Python, where it literally looks the same as the for loop, except we have, instead of saying for I in range, we say for I in list, which is the one that we want to iterate over. And if you were to print this I, then it would say, hi, my name is Faith. And let's now do the same thing as in Java. So I'm just going to get rid of this code. Okay, this is confusing me, so let me just put this comment right here. So I'm going to be defining my list. This is actually not a list, this is an array. It's a specific data structure that you will learn about in 2.12. So just ignore the syntax and how I'm creating it. Just know that this exists. But for the sake of this video, it works exactly like how it works in Python. Okay. So in Java, you always start with the for again. You have the parentheses and you have the curly braces. Now we know that we're going to be printing something. We're going to print out each element inside this list. But I haven't defined that yet, so I'm just going to keep it empty for now. And we're going to be defining what's inside these parentheses. So what we have to do is, so in Python it was for I in list, so we actually also used the variable I here. Once again, you don't have to use that specific variable, but I'm going to do it here anyways. So we can't just put I. In Java, you always have to declare it, and what we're going to declare this I to be is string in this case. And the reason why is because each element in this list is going to be a string. And we put a colon. So this part is saying for each element inside this list. So we know that after the semicolon, we have to say we're going to be looping over this list, so all we say is list. So it looks basically very similar to Python, because all we're saying is for I, and consider this colon to be an in, for I in list. Except what we're doing is we have to put it inside parentheses, and then we have to declare our I to be the data type of the element that we're looping over. So this is for I in list, except I is a colon. And now I'm just going to print I in here. And let's see what happens. Whoops, I forgot to compile. Perfect. Hi, my name is Faith. And you might ask a question of, okay, what if list looked like this? Character, I don't know. Something like this, where you have a list, ignore this for now. list, hi, 10, hello, faith. So you have a bunch of different data types. How do we for each loop that? Well, actually in Java, you cannot ever do this. You always have to have the same exact data type for each element. So your i's are always going to be one single data type, which is why I have to declare that each element is a string here. So just wanted to let you know you can never have this in Java. At least you won't see this in data structures. Okay, so here is what we just did. And now, while loops in Python literally look exactly like the ones in Java. But once again, you need parentheses and curly braces. So here, the prime difference is that you always need parentheses, whereas in Python it's optional. You always have curly braces, and they all basically look the same. And I will also show you what this code looks like. I'll show you what it'll execute and stuff. So I had defined it that x is equal to 10. We have the keyword while x is greater than 1. I want you to execute these lines of code, which is that I want to print it out. And I want to be dividing x by 2. And let's see what happens. So yep, 10, 5, 2, when I divide by 2 each time. So while is kind of like a combination between loops, like for loops, and conditions, you could say. But while loops can actually get into a case of infinite loops, which are really bad. So if I had x is greater than 1 and I got rid of this code by commenting it out, when I compile it, I think compilation is okay. Yep. But then when you run it, legit, it'll just continue to print 10 over and over again until it crashes. So that's kind of like the pitfall into while loops. So while loops are where you have to have a condition and you have to have in your code what'll be the stopping condition for this while loop, or else you will be in an infinite while loop forever. And you don't want that in your program. But that's it for this video.